From the glory days of the NWA to the birth of the WWF's family entertainment era to the Monday Night Wars and the rise of AEW. This is Wayback Wrestlemania, where we cover everything in the professional wrestling world with your hosts, Adam and the Emerald Enthusiast.
Welcome to another episode of Wayback Wrestlemania. As always, I'm your host, Adam. And with me is my co-host, Donnie. Donnie, how's it going?
Hey, what's up, comic book fans? It's the man whose ring runs on fanboy energy, the podcasting machine, the big nerd in green. It's the Emerald Enthusiast, and we may not yet be global phenomenons, but I am a dad joke phenomenon. This is also a wrestling podcast, not a comic book podcast. So
I was just going to correct
there we
you
go.
on that. So, no
That's
Mr.
right.
Perfect tap on the back for you this morning because you got you appealed to the wrong fan base. Although it's all connected. It's all, who cares? Right. It's our show. We can talk to each other.
There's a lot of cross pollination between wrestling and comic books. So
it's our show. We can appeal to any fan base we want.
I may not be the total package, but I'm the 3/4 package.
Oh man, this is a long overdue episode. We haven't done a wrestling show in quite some time. Mostly just for the holidays got in the way, and then we had to do some. There were a couple of cases where we had to do impromptu episodes of other shows. So this got we had hoped to do the Rumble, but then again things got in the way. And then the Rumble came and went, and it's like, well, we're not going to do it in retrospect, so we'll just pick back up with this show later, and this is now what we're doing right here. Of course, we're not reviewing Elimination Chamber because it's happening as we're doing this, so This is not an Elimination Chamber review, but we just wanted to kind of give a sort of a overall catch up and kind of debrief and kind of give you a little bit of a hint of what we're going to do going forward.
Right.
So
we got a couple of big pay-per-views coming up, so we figure we would catch up to speed here,
give
you our thoughts on recent events for both AEW and WWE.
Right. So starting with AEW, let's talk about another new signing by Tony Khan, a former WWE employee. And that is a couple of weeks ago, Keith Lee made his appearance in All Elite Wrestling. So, what are your thoughts on Keith Lee in the promotion, and what were your thoughts on his first match?
I think he has. I mean, they call him Limitless for a reason.
Yeah,
he has the potential that he has to be a main eventer for several years to come. Is just it's amazing. He's not. He's what I think 37, so he has several good years left.
Yeah.
Of being in his prime.
Mm-hmm.
He's obviously believable. He looks like he could break you in half if he wanted to. He seems like a heck of a nice guy. By the way, he recently got married. Yeah. I think that's great. He looked really happy, so I'm happy for the guy. I mean, he brought. Let's face it, there aren't a lot of huge guys in AEW. There are a few, but when he comes in, he is just so enormous that he instantly brings an intimidation factor.
Right.
And he is very athletic for a man who is so big.
Yeah, he can move. He can move. Obviously he was going to go over in his first match. It'd be pretty stupid to bring him in and have him lose.
Right.
But mind you, if this was McMahon, they might have done that. But anyway, but I, like you said, the thing that really surprises me about Keith Lee is just his speed and the things he can pull off at his size. It's quite impressive. And like you said, there aren't a lot of big men in AEW. I mean, just looking at it, you've got Luchasaurus is
Luchasaurus, Wardlow, Powerhouse Hobbs,
the other guy,
Murder Hawk.
That's it, Murder Hawk. Yeah. And those are the main ones.
Yeah,
So
that's really all I can think of. I can't think of anybody who's a really big guy. So
I mean, then you have the retired or the semi-retired Paul White
right.
and Mark Henry, but they're not.
Again, yeah, we may be looking at a couple of more matches out of those guys, but
If any, yeah.
if they're smart, I mean, a couple of easy matches, but you don't want to see people at their age, especially Big Show with his recent health problems with his hip. Yeah. And we'll talk more later about guys who are wrestling at an age where they probably shouldn't be. But
Right,
so
yeah,
stay tuned.
Yeah. So I like him. I think it's a good signing. And again, he seems happier.
Yes.
And so it'd be interesting to see what program they put him in. Who he looks like a guy that could contend more for the world title than the TNT Championship.
Right.
Personally.
Right.
So we'll see where that eventually goes. But I was.
But the crowd's behind him right now, though. I don't think you want to do him versus Adam Page right now.
No, so. You'd have to put my trajectory would be put the title on a heel character, and then position Keith Lee in that spot. Yes. And I don't even know. Like I know they're building a program with, Adam Cole. And it seems like he's going to challenge Adam Page next.
Yes.
I need to get in this match and then be a trifecta of Adams.
Speaking of Adam Cole, again, someone else, much like Keith Lee, whom WWE did not use to his potential.
Yeah, and the thing with Adam Cole that I've seen, clearly he's a heel right now, and yet the crowd cheers for every time he comes out. It's like, crowds behind him. So, what do you do there? Like in that situation, it's not like MJF where everybody, I think, universally. Is there anybody that cheers for that guy? I don't think so.
I mean, I like MJF, but I mean,
I like him as a heel, but I hate. But he's
no, he doesn't get cheered. Can you imagine Keith Lee as a babyface going against MJF with the belt and watching MJF run away from Keith Lee? Everybody would be really entertained.
But you got to think at some point MJF's going to get the title.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah.
I don't know when that is, but at some point it's going to happen.
Well, when he says he's the future of the company, it's hard to doubt the guy. If he doesn't get hurt, he's very young and he's got every attribute there is to be a draw. So.
I have a feeling that maybe Tony Khan will string that out until his contract is due, and then as a signing bonus, hey, we're going to put the.
Well, right now, WWE, AEW has quite a few main event guys, including the returning Jon Moxley.
Yeah.
So you have him, you have CM Punk, you have Daniel Bryan. Why not get reins out of those guys before you go to Keith Lee and MJF?
Right. And like I said, in 2024, MJF's contract is expiring. So I'm sure that's a guy that Tony Khan is not going to want to lose. So
most definitely.
In terms of, in addition to probably a raise, but also the added bonus of, hey, now we're going to put the strap on you.
Sure.
I think I think that would be smart of Tony Khan to do it that way. But it's going to be interesting to see where Keith Lee, what they do with him. Mm-hmm. Regardless of what that is, I have a feeling he'll be used more efficiently than he was in WWE.
If he has a little input, I think you're looking at somebody who.
Well, at the end there, when he finally made it to the main roster on WWE, weren't they calling him Bear Paw?
Bearcat.
Bearcat. But I mean, like really, like why?
And they put him on the show, and he seemed poised for a big push, like he's ready to be one of the main event guys, and then they let him go.
But again, calling him Bear, what would they call him?
Bearcat.
Yeah. Like, again, it sounds like that sounds like a stuffed animal I want to cuddle, not fighting. I don't know. Like, to me, it's you just like make the guy a beast.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna.
Well, it was an homage to Bearcat Wright, an old wrestler.
I get it, but
yeah.
But it just doesn't fit the character.
Right. I like that he showed back up in the. I've always liked his entrance gear.
Yeah,
You know, the armless hoodie. So I like that he came out in that, and he just has a very definitive look and a very definitive way about him right now. So
I remember when I watched the episodes of NXT where he was, I think he was the North American champion, or that was the spot he was going for, and his matches were always top tier.
Yeah.
And
he doesn't have to do 5 death-defying moves in a row. He does a cross body block, and you're like, wow, look at that huge man doing that. So
if I was his opponent, I'd be like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I hope he sticks the landing and gets it 100% right. Otherwise, I'm crap out of luck here. But yeah, no, I'm excited to see where he goes in terms of a storyline and what have you. Here's some shocking AEW news, which will then kind of tie into WWE. Actually, first of all, sticking with people that probably are going to make their way to the company.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of chatter about Jeff Hardy eventually making his way to AEW.
Right.
And I think that's a foregone conclusion. I think he and Matt are going to have one run left together as a tag team.
A reunion of the Hardy Boys, I think, would be, because Matt, right now, Matt is definitely not in his best place being, the manager for Private Party. I'd love to see a feud between Private Party and the Hardys.
Yeah, and you could see that relationship fracturing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the setup, is that that relationship's going to fracture. They're going to, the three of the Private Party and Matt are going to turn on each other. There's probably going to be some like gang attacks where they double up on him, and then when Jeff is able to come in, he'll come to his brother's rescue, and then that's how I foresee it going. Because I know there was talk that Tony Khan helped or is working to buying him out of his no compete or his contract with WWE or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I just think it's a matter of time, and I'd like to see one final run for the Hardy Boys.
Could you see another match at the Hardy compound with the dilapidated boat? And
yeah. No, so I think that's inevitable. It's just a matter of when. And now to the big shocking departure. Cody Rhodes and his wife Brandy have left AEW. That was shocking when it came about.
Yeah.
Wasn't expecting it at all. I knew it had been widely reported that he was working without a contract on a handshake kind of agreement, and at the end of the day, he decided to part ways with the company. It's just I think the reason why it's shocking is because he's an EVP.
He's one of the most identifiable talents with the first year that AEW was alive. So I think everyone thought that, and he asked for his release in 2016, if memory serves, from WWE.
Yeah.
So I didn't think that there was any great rush to go back to WWE, and I don't think we know for sure that he's going back there.
Well, it hasn't been confirmed, but that's widely.
I am keeping an eye on Elimination Chamber, though, just in case. There have been rumors that he's going to show up. So
now the funny thing is, though, a lot of the scuttlebutt is that he kind of lost his influence in terms of booking, and Tony Khan has taken over that role. Which, look, it's smart from Tony Khan's perspective, because when you think of the downfall of WCW, part of the downfall of WCW was, the guys that were calling the shots were some of the higher profile performers.
Right.
And that was ultimately the downfall of the company. So It's the way people are talking is Tony Khan is really taking control of the booking and stuff like that, and the EVPs are mostly now just more so glorify titles than anything else.
At the end of the day, one person needs to be in control. There needs to be a final say.
Yeah.
You get too many cooks in the kitchen, and that's a recipe for
and
disaster.
then you end up like WCW. So
right.
EVPs are kind of in wrestling now, or at least in AEW, are the new associate producers. Like certain movies. They really it's just a title. Have fun with that. But so ultimately,
I'm sorry that I used 2 cooking metaphors in a row there. By the way, so
that's fine. It's all
yeah.
good.
I need a little bit. I need a little bit
it's
more.
It's all good, Martha Stewart.
Why'd you say that name? I need a little bit more seasoning.
Yeah. So. Oh God. Emerald Lagasse, everybody. Here he is. Anyway, but yeah. So I mean, that was shocking. And then in terms of him potentially going back to WWE, like you said, if he asked for his release, my thought is he's got to have some assurances that he's not going to be in a stupid spot, if you will, or the pay is so ridiculously high that, hey, use me however you want, just pay me.
Let me throw this scenario out. If he were to come out and say, I'm back and I've spent the last 2 years building this rinky-dink little company up to a national power. Well, that would not sit well with the fans who watch WWE and AEW. And then if he said, and I'm back because this place is a shell of its former self and I need to come in and fix it. He could be a very effective heel. I don't think that there's any chance he's a babyface right now.
Yeah, no, I could definitely buy that.
But there is an angle there if WWE does the smart thing, which recently they haven't been so great at doing that. But there's a path there, I believe.
There is definitely an angle there. I like where you're thinking. And again, and I hope that's what they do if he does come in. But let's remember that Cody didn't want to turn heel in AEW, so why would he? Why would he be again? The thought process is that WWE offered or was offering a lot of money to the tune of I can't turn this amount of money down. So, and again, I had no problem with the Stardust gimmick.
Yeah.
It's just.
I always liked Cody as a tag wrestler better anyway. That was just my preference for him.
Right.
I really liked him with Ted DiBiase Jr.
Right.
Yeah, and he and Dustin together. So
yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see him if he does show up there, and how they use him, because I mean, certainly WWE could use the added boost of his talent for sure.
Yes.
But again, it all comes down to what spot he's put in, how they portray his character. I don't think you can go back to Stardust now that Goldust is no longer a thing, because
I don't think that would have much of an impact. I don't think a lot of the older audience would remember that, but it would seem weird for him to do that without Goldust there.
Yeah, you have to have him come in and say, I built a company. I just want to prove that I can do it. And now I'm here to fix this one.
Right.
So
and WWE loyalists who may look at him as, somebody coming back to their product who abandoned them, some fans probably think about that. He could get some heat. I think that's possible.
Yeah, so it's a good angle. I like the way you're thinking there. But we'll have to wait and see if he does indeed show up, whether it be at Elimination Chamber. I think it's more likely that he shows up at Mania.
Could be.
So, but if he shows up, but we'll keep an eye out on that. Before we move on from AEW and switch over to WWE, do you think, Donnie, because I was thinking with Malachi Black there, what's he called? Is that what he's?
Yes, Malachi Black.
Yeah. He was called Alice. What was he called in WWE?
He was he Aleister Black?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was getting
Yeah.
too confused. Anyway, he seems like he's got a faction of his own, like and it seems like every promo he's teasing that somebody's going to come in. Like, do you think that the person that's going to come in is um,
Bray Wyatt?
Bray Wyatt?
That's what most people are speculating. I
Because
don't
that's
know.
the
I haven't
perfect
heard that
angle.
he has an AEW deal imminent. I've heard Impact a lot, but not AEW. So, I don't know. It would make a lot of sense. They would certainly use him better than WWE utilized him in his last 6 months there.
Yeah, I think anybody would use him better at this
Right.
point. Even if it
Again,
was,
that was another huge star that WWE, they just kind of let him go.
yeah. And the last point I want to make on WWE, or before we switch over, is I don't know how much things are going to change over at WWE because apparently Vince McMahon is very happy with the product.
He's still making money. The thing
And
is, the brand has gotten so big that they can market themselves and do things like I heard it was over. I think it was Indonesia. They got Disney Plus in Indonesia to carry WWE over there.
Yeah. So
Vince finds ways to make money. The company is so big now that they can have interchangeable parts and people still tune in because it's WWE.
can they? At this point, speaking to that, at this point, can they lose? Can they get to a point where they're losing money? I don't think they can.
No, and that's the thing. The reason WWE changed from the new generation to the Attitude Era is because they were losing to WCW in the 90s and they were losing money.
Yeah.
I don't think that they sweat AEW at all.
No, and I don't think AEW is there to see. That's the difference between AEW and WCW.
Yeah.
WCW's end game was like, we got to put Vince out of business. That's not Tony Khan's concern.
Yeah.
And that's why he's succeeding, I think, is because he's not worried about putting them out of business because he can't.
Right.
Right.
And there are fans like you and I who like both, but there are also a lot of disenfranchised WWE fans or wrestling fans as a whole, and they like the different flavor that AEW offers.
Yeah, I enjoy both. Look, I have my frustrations with certain things WWE does, which we'll talk about now, but I can, there are some people and some angles that I'm still interested in WWE.
Sure.
And then there's stuff where because I basically what I do is I record the programs, and then there's certain stuff that I just fast forward by.
Right.
Anything with Riddle, pretty much,
Yes.
because I just don't like him. I like Randy Orton, but if Randy Orton's not there with him, I'm fast forwarding because
I want to like Matt Riddle. I think there's a good wrestler there. I just
he's
don't
a good
think
wrestler, but his gimmick sucks.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think that you can be like this nonsensical lost character all the time.
And for the love of God, put some shoes on, damn it.
He's gonna break it. So before we go to WWE, though, I want to mention just a couple of things. Number one, the very first TBS Women's Champion beating Ruby Soho in the finals is Jade Cargill, my personal favorite women's wrestler in AEW. I think they're bringing her along at the perfect rate. She is becoming a star. They have a gold mine in her, by the way. Also, it looks like we're getting a little bit of a picture about how AEW Revolution is going to shake out on March the 6th. The first match it looks like we're going to get is a dog collar between CM Punk and MJF.
That's going to be a good match.
That's going to be awesome.
because their feud, by the way, first of all, let me just say about Jade Cargill. I was okay. Look, whoever came out of that match, I would have been fine with because I think they're both fantastic performers.
Ruby Soho is very over, so yeah, I would have understood it.
Right, and I know she's married and what have you, but screw it. Most of them are on my list. But can I just point out I don't know if I've probably pointed this out before, but Jade Cargill is certainly on the list. And I say that very respectfully because she could break me in half.
Well, when you don't, the version of you at like the different Earth, that version of you might be like 6'5" and 275 pounds.
I mean, I'd like to think so. I would hope so, because otherwise I'm in trouble. Otherwise, she better not find out about the other wives, because then I'm really screwed. But no, and the cool thing is, I like that she does cosplay stuff. Like she did a thing with Storm, and she just did a Riddler outfit.
Yes.
Like specifically a Jim Carrey outfit.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey Riddler. And I never thought in a million years I'd be attracted to the Riddler. But here we are, damn it.
I'm trying desperately. I have tweeted at her many times, please cosplay Joe Mullane.
Donnie, be careful. She might break you in half.
Please cosplay Joe Mullane. Here's the thing. I realize that, she likes to show off her physique. Obviously, she's worked hard on it.
Yeah.
And Joe Mullane, again, she wears a uniform that covers pretty much everything.
Change the costume. Take creative license with it.
Yeah. I don't care. It's cool and I want to see it.
Just put the Green Lantern thing on the chest area, and then
do a sleeveless Joe Mullane cosplay. I don't care, but just she could do that. That would be so awesome. So anyway, I just, obviously, if you know anything about me, you know that I'm always thinking about Green Lantern. And if you'd like to learn more about Green Lantern, you can on the Emerald Echo podcast. That's located right here on YouTube. That's the Emerald Echo podcast with my co-host, Adam.
Donnie, I don't know how anybody would get the impression that you're always thinking of Green Lantern. I mean, what would give it away?
No, I'm not sure.
But so I'm really happy that she's champion. And man, just her, like, she's so good in the ring. It's insane. And then on the MJF CM Punk feud, I love it so far.
Yes,
I love it. And like, I love the fact that they're playing into the fact that when MJF was younger, he went to a meet and greet with Punk.
Yes, I love that they're playing on that,
and they're using that in the angle. But also, Donnie, I like the fact that they had their match, and MJF won through nefarious means. He cheated, thanks to Wardlow's interference. But you could see the seeds of dissent within Wardlow. I think a turn for Wardlow is coming.
Yeah, well, they've been teasing that forever. So this would be a perfect time for, Wardlow to, wash his hands of MJF and say, you want to beat Punk, go out there and do it yourself.
Yeah. So.
And being that MJF got to be the first guy to beat Punk in AEW, that's how you utilize star power.
Yeah. So, so that's going to be a good match. And I just want to say congratulations to Sammy Guevara for being the undisputed TNT champion. Mm-hmm. That was a great match that he and Cody had. I just don't understand why at this point he's wearing both belts now.
Yeah. Also want to say, get well quickly, Ray Phoenix. That was a horrible injury that he endured, but I guess it wasn't as bad as it looked. So
yeah, they've done some vignettes with him in the cemetery.
Yes. So hopefully he will be back, and we'll see the Lucha Brothers again soon. So
which the cemetery angle is weird. Where's he going with that?
Was that what? But wasn't that Penta? I thought it was Penta instead of Ray Phoenix. I could be wrong.
I don't know. One of them.
I may have missed. Yeah, I think that was Penta.
And I'm like, wait a minute, who's this for?
Yeah, I'd have to go back and double check. But anyway,
like, I was waiting for Teddy Long to walk out and say, "And you're gonna fight here. Tonight you're gonna face the Undertaker." And I'm like,
oh yeah.
But yeah, so good on AEW. I'm liking what they're doing so far, and I can't wait to see how things develop on that side of the aisle. Switching over to WWE, I think first and foremost we should say that congratulations go out to the aforementioned Undertaker, because it was just recently announced that he is entering the Hall of Fame this year.
Yes.
Much deserved. Donnie, just to give, because it kind of correlates with The Undertaker, We haven't really talked about this off air, so I'm going to spring it on you live on air because that's how I like to do things here, folks. And
off the cuff.
yeah, basically, and late at night I think of things, and then I just spring them on Donnie the next time we record. That's how it rolls. It's either that or I'm conned into buying another Masters of the Universe figure.
You started it.
and you furthered it.
Yeah, exactly.
But you had kind of mentioned this in passing. We should cover some old stuff.
Yes.
And what I'd like to do is I'd like to cover some of the classics of my era and your era and our collective era. Mm-hmm. So one of the ones that I want to devote an episode to, obviously, is The Undertaker.
Sure.
We'll talk about his entrance into the company, our favorite angles. We've got to talk Undertaker versus Undertaker because that was a big thing for me.
I remember that, yes.
But I also want to do, and I know this person is a polarizing figure, and I know Donnie is not much of a fan, but I think we got to cover the character and the influence that Hulk Hogan had on the business.
Sure.
Again,
sure.
I was a card-carrying Hulkamaniac. That has nothing to do with my opinion on the individual that Terry Bollea has become, or his beliefs, or any of that nonsense. When we cover it, we are just covering the legacy and influence and career of the professional wrestler Hulk Hogan, not the man Terry Bollea. So
right, exactly.
When we do that, that's the perspective we're
separating the artists from the arts.
Right.
We talk about that a lot. Yes. So
exactly. So Hulk Hogan is one we want to do. The Undertaker is one I want to do. Macho Man Randy Savage is a must. The Ultimate Warrior, we got to cover him. We've got to do because I know you're erroneously a Shawn Michaels fan, so we got to do Brett and Shawn Michaels. The attitude there. We got to do The Rock.
Sure.
Black Adam himself. Isn't it funny, Donnie, that he throughout his whole wrestling career, and still to this day, he calls himself the most electrifying man in entertainment, and Black Adam wears a lightning bolt across his chest. I mean, is that not the best synergy you could ever have in the world?
Yeah, it was fate, and I don't mean Dr. Fate.
Which we're going to see. Right. He's tag teaming in the Black Adam movie.
Right. But I want to say that I'm old enough to remember Mark Calloway in the Skyscrapers.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Or he was just mean Mark Callis. Okay, when he was in WCW.
Right. And, okay, I remember briefly.
Okay. When he came into the WWF, and actually at the very start, and I had a PWI where they were going to call him King the Undertaker at first, and then they just dropped it to the Undertaker. Yeah. I had no idea that character would get over to this point. I also had no idea it really unlocked Mark Calloway as a performer. And I don't know numbers, and I don't know if anybody has ever tracked this. I wonder, if you could isolate who has sold the most merchandise with their name on it in WWE history, simply because The Undertaker has been so popular for so long.
He's got to be up there.
I would wonder if he's not number one.
He's got to be up there for sure. I don't know
simply
if he's
because,
number one.
Yeah, because he was there long before. He was a main eventer long before Austin or Rock. He was a main eventer for WWE much longer than Hogan.
My thing is that one of the impressive things for me, and again, we'll cover this when we do our Undertaker specific episode, but is that he stayed with the company the entire time.
Yes.
That's a very rare thing. And spoiler, and I'll get into this, when we do the full episode on The Undertaker, but that character, he scared the shit out of me. Still to this day, when I hear that gong, I perk up and I say, wait a minute.
You know what's funny is
I think
remember.
I was scarred
Go
as
ahead.
a child by that character, Donnie. I just want to say.
You reminded me that in high school, there are still people out there, they think wrestling is stupid, it's fake, yada yada yada. And I knew a lot of people in my high school who were just like, I can't believe, you still watch this stuff. You're 16, 17 years old. And then when the Undertaker locked the Ultimate Warrior in the casket, all of a sudden these same people were like, dude, how did they do that without hurting Ultimate Warrior? And I'm like, I thought you didn't watch wrestling. Closet liars.
I'm telling you, man. I like the character now. I respect the hell out of him. But good God, that guy gave me nightmares.
Yeah, as a kid, he was meant to scare you, and I think for a lot of young kids who saw him at first in the '90s, yeah,
I don't like having to go to funeral homes on principle, but I think he made the whole process even worse. I just want to point that out, and we'll cover more of my fear and how I came to be on our Undertaker specific episode. But I just want to say, like, we're going to be doing specific episodes on certain characters and eras, and that's something that when I originally started this show, that was an intent that I wanted to do, and so now we're going to carry that through. And one of the characters we're definitely going to do is the Undertaker. So congratulations on entering the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, foregone conclusion. Yes.
Yeah, in my opinion, it was a no-brainer. So
yeah,
it was just a matter of time. So congratulations. And if he comes out to that theme, and I hope he comes out in the whole outfit for his Hall of Fame. I hope he doesn't just come out in jeans and a t-shirt and like come out in the full regalia one more time.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah.
So congratulations to him. Now, let's talk a little bit about projections for WrestleMania.
Okay.
Doesn't look like Goldberg is going to be in the main event of WrestleMania, according to what you had told me about.
Yeah, as we recorded this, right before we recorded this, I saw Roman Reigns choke Goldberg out in the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, and I think that his return was only for the the Saudi crowd. That's what they wanted to do, because they wanted big names over there who had never been over there before. So
now, I respect the hell out of Goldberg in terms of,
likewise,
again, his time in his prime, what he did, the whole undefeated streak, the whole 9 yards, that was all great, okay? And he alluded to recently in a social media post that this may be his final match. And I don't want to be mean, but I hope it is. There comes a time when everybody's going to say, that's it, and right off into the sunset. And I think it's his time to do that. I think the way he came, like, my thing is, I get why they're doing it for the Saudi crowd and whatever. That's what they want to see. Fine. But my thing is the build up to it, to just come in and say, all right, I'm next in line for a title shot. It's like, how does that make any sense?
And that's the same thing they did with Cena, the same thing they did with Lesnar. Do you see any other athletes in any other sports that just come in? Oh, we haven't seen them for 10 years. Oh, I think I want to be in the Super Bowl, or I want to play in the Stanley Cup Finals. I want to be in the NBA Finals.
Man,
that's not how that works.
If you could challenge for a championship that easily, the Leafs would be in the Stanley Cup Final by now. I mean, they haven't been there since 1967. They can show up and make a big, hey, I'm here. Give me a title shot. And then they'd lose it 4 straight, but that's neither here nor there. But much to my chagrin. But, like, to me, look, if you want to put him in that spot for the Saudis' sake, sure. But build it up a little bit more than, I'm here and now give me a title shot. Like,
I will say from the positive angle, from what I saw, the crowd was rather split between cheering for Goldberg and Reigns and in a country that is a mostly Islamic country, that a Jewish guy can go over there and they can still respect his talent, that is progress. So there's one good aspect of this. But I also think that a guy his age, remember, we're just removed a few years from Sting nearly hurting himself trying to wrestle at 56.
Yeah, and you see, I know I don't want to flip back, but I think that's how this shows you how AEW was smart in the way they use Sting. What have we seen him in? 1 or 2 tag matches?
Yeah. But when he tried to wrestle Seth Rollins and he took that big bump, that was scary. Yeah.
Right, yeah. And so the only way I'd accept Sting in a singles match again, and it would have to be a one-off, and just because I'd want to see the match, would be an Undertaker versus Sting thing. Just
a lot of people have been wanting to see that over the years.
Just to say we've seen it, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So
speaking of, there are rumors right now flying around. These are unsubstantiated, so please don't quote me on this. There are rumors of
Undertaker to AEW.
Oh, that would hurt Vince pretty much.
Can you imagine he gets abducted to the Hall of Fame, and then 2 weeks later he shows up to me?
Ooh, that would be vicious. There are rumors that WWE is planning an AJ style Shawn Michaels match for WrestleMania.
I'll take that.
I would be okay with that only because that match he had at Crown Jewel, that tag match with the Brothers of Destruction, I don't want that being his last match because
but Donnie, that's also an attraction match. It's not for a title.
Exactly.
Not, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so that's a rumor going around for Mania. There's also speculation that we're going to see Kevin Owens against Stone Cold Steve Austin. There's credence to these rumors because just on Raw the other day, Kevin Owens came on and basically gave a trash talking to Texas, saying it is this is not me saying it. So listen, if we have any listeners from Texas, I ain't saying this. It's Kevin Owens. So take it up with Kevin Owens. He said that if North America was a human body, Texas would be the ass. Now listen. I don't know about it if a guy from Quebec should be calling somewhere else the ass of a continent, because Quebec's got a claim to that. Certainly their hockey team is pretty crappy. Their hockey team is what comes out of a rear end this year, so take that. And I take great pleasure in that. Enjoy last place, but I digress.
I'm with you on that.
So I hope that match happens, because I want to see Austin stun this guy from Quebec a couple of times. As a Leaf fan, I will take great pleasure in seeing that. Nothing against Kevin Owens. You were just born in the wrong province.
Right. I like Kevin Owens, but I will say I think there is some credence to these rumors that Vince is scared about the lack of star power for WrestleMania, which I don't understand. Maybe you shouldn't have let all these people go, but yes, the roster is thin right now. You're also not doing anything of note with people like Drew McIntyre or Big E, whom you have featured recently. So yes, WrestleMania is in need of star power. So maybe there is credence to these, former stars coming back for like one last hurrah.
Yeah, so I wouldn't begrudge seeing Stone Cold against Kevin Owens. He's stunner versus stunner, but again, that's an attraction match. That's why it's okay. I wouldn't want to see Stone Cold wrestling Roman Reigns or Brock Lesnar. And again, if Stone Cold is back, I'll enjoy every second of it for that match. But looking at the women's title picture, it's very clear from what you said that Bianca Belair won the Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, in a very good match. All the participants did an excellent job in that match.
And look, I know she lost, and But you said she was the last person aside from Bianca
against Bianca. Yes.
But my girl's back, and listen, I know she's getting married to somebody, and that's cool and all, but that's real life. Enough of that garbage. Alexa Bliss is back, and she's still on the list. I'm not gonna tell you where she is because that's a big reveal, but she's on the list. But anyway, Alexa, if they got no plans for you at WrestleMania, you can come watch it with me. It's all okay.
That's right. If you're gonna dream big.
Just let me know. I'll get the wings ready. We'll be good.
Okay.
Anyway, if that ever happens,
I like rings.
I said wings, not rings.
Oh, I thought you said rings.
But listen. She wants to go one step further. I'll get a ring too. Like, just ditch the guy you're with now, and we're gonna call it a day. Look, I don't want to get in between anybody, but if you leave somebody, then I think it's fair game. Right? I will never cheat with a married woman, but hey, if she leaves the situation, then I may throw myself in there. But no, all joking aside. So Bianca Belair is going to be in the match at WrestleMania for assuming the Raw Women's title.
Yes.
And it's going to be against Becky Lynch. And personally, I hope Bianca wins because the way they gave Becky the title back, I think she took it from Bianca, right?
Yes, that was at SummerSlam.
I think it was the stupidest decision to do. So I think they need to rectify that. Also, wasn't it a year or 2 years ago where at WrestleMania, Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair were the two women's champions?
Yes. Yeah.
And going into WrestleMania, those two are still, things have changed over the
No,
course.
wasn't it? Okay, I can't remember who was champion, but there was that triple threat 2 years ago.
Right,
yeah.
But either way, they've been in that spot.
Yeah.
Nauseatingly too long. Like, it's time for both of them to be not have the titles for a little bit.
Well, I just think that we need a final payoff for Becky versus Bianca. That's maybe their biggest match right now because Bianca is the biggest face right now. But the other thing is, I don't think people want to boo Becky Lynch. I think they want her to be a baby face again. So I think you got to let that come to a head. Bianca versus Becky one more time, and then let them go their separate ways.
Yeah, I don't like her as a villain.
I think she does it well, but that's not what people want. I think people are still cheering her, trying to get WWE to turn her back.
Yeah, and so there's that, and I think at WrestleMania, I think Bianca will go over. It's very clear. Look, Charlotte is going to face Ronda, and if you're asking me to pick a winner, it's going to be Ronda. You don't bring her back, put her in the title picture, and then have her lose.
No, I would agree, but that's another one of those similar scenarios. We know Ronda Rousey is legitimate, but she hasn't been around for quite a while, and she just comes in and is like, "Oh, I want a title shot."
Yeah,
so
that's true.
We've seen that scenario a lot from WWE.
But I just don't see them having Charlotte retain.
At this point, Charlotte, regardless of losses, she can always be a main event player because she's been there so long.
Now the question is, Donnie, he brings up a question. Has she renewed her contract? Because I know I've heard that it's up soon.
It could be. There was a lot of speculation that she would want to join her husband in AEW.
And that's what I'm getting at. Could she potentially?
Could be.
Especially because of the rift between her father and WWE recently.
Right.
Could that be a scenario that plays out? I can see it, but that's neither here nor there. But I think Ronda is going to go over in that match. On the men's side of things, I don't know if the match has taken place yet or the result has happened, but Brock Lesnar is in the Elimination Chamber match.
As we speak, that match is going on.
And this could sound really stupid by the time you hear it, because I could be totally wrong. But I think Brock is going to win that match. He's going to go into WrestleMania as the Raw Women. As the Raw Men's Champion.
Man, that would be some heat right there if he went and started beating up the women.
That's not a good look for WWE. So
wrong kind of heat.
Yeah, he's going to go in as the Men's Women's Champion. What did I just say? I'm losing my mind, folks. For God's sake, he's going to go in as the Raw Champion.
As the WWE Champion against the Universal Champion Roman Reigns. That's what you're trying to say.
Thank you. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. And the speculation is that they want to have a champion versus champion match. My question is, Donnie, now, hear me out on this. Can they unify the damn titles?
They might. I think it's silly to have two world titles in the same company.
Look, you want to have the U.S. champion on Raw and the Intercontinental champion on SmackDown. Cool. I'm down with that.
Right.
But to me, the world champion should be the one or two guys that can traverse the two brands, because he's the champion. And that's why I think the title should be unified.
I would say so. Remember, they did that for a while. It's been many years, but I think that's what they should do is and make the champions appearances. He doesn't have to come out every week. They can be sporadic and they can be special.
And
you can have,
and I think the same with the women. The women should be the same. Have one title and they go on both brands.
Right. I would agree. I think you just have one, you have one featured performer as the centerpiece of the division.
Now, tag team champions, I can do with the brand having two different tag team champions. That I can do with.
By the way, it looks like the Usos retained against the Viking Raiders. So,
right. So yeah, I'm not, and so they're going to go up against, who knows? It won't be the New Day, because the way the New Day seems to be going, it seems like they're jobbing to everybody left, right, and center.
There's another thing. First of all, being a Kofi fan, obviously I'm hurt by the way he's been treated, but also Big E is a main eventer for the better part of last year.
No, I'm kidding.
Do what?
I said Kofi to AEW.
I wonder what they call him. Anyway, but yeah, Big E's a guy who was a main eventer for like 6 months, and now they just kind of kick him back to the mid card on Raw. Well, that's not how you make a star. You establish a guy and you keep building him up even after he loses the belt.
Yeah, they had a star, but they threw it away.
Well, he's driving the pace car. Well, I don't watch car racing. It's one of the big car races, NASCAR. He's driving the pace car today.
Big E.
Big E is at this big race. It's one of the NASCAR races. And again, I don't watch racing, so I don't know what it is. But I've seen that he is part of like promoting this. It's a joint promotion between NASCAR and WWE.
Yeah, because of Fox. Yeah, I get it.
He's a star. He's one of those guys that a lot of people know outside of wrestling.
Yeah, and they shouldn't have had him. Or even if, look, everybody's going to lose at some point. Like a title reign can't last forever, but it's what you do with him after. And I get it. The thought process is Vince really wanted to reunite the New Day. Fine, but then don't reunite the New Day just to have them job to everybody and anybody, So that was disappointing in the way they've handled that as well. I remember Kofi's title reign. I thought it was great. I thought it was great, and so was Big E's.
Well, Kofi never, to my knowledge, he never even got a rematch when he was beaten by Lesnar. And and the fact that he was jobbed so quickly, and then it was like he didn't even care. I'm like, this is not how you end a historic title reign, by doing this.
Yeah. It should have been. There should have been a bigger build-up and a bigger thing. So, but it looks like I said, it's going to be Brock versus Roman for champion versus champion. Do you think Brock wins that?
Right now, we are in the Elimination Chamber. We're down to Brock Lesnar versus Austin Theory. I don't see Austin Theory being in the main event. So
yeah, right. But what I'm saying is, do you think Brock beats Roman?
that's a tough question. He has the credibility, but at the same time, he's a part-timer. How many matches does he want to wrestle after WrestleMania? I mean, is the plan to, okay, let him beat Roman Reigns and then have Roman win it back quickly? But I mean, to my knowledge, Brock signed like an 8-match contract. So how many matches is he going to wrestle after WrestleMania?
What match is this that he's in now? What, the first one?
No, he's
second.
No, I think he's had 4.
Oh.
Yeah.
He's had that many already?
Yeah.
Since he came back from the Rumble?
Yes, I think he's had 3 or 4 matches.
Huh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, maybe I'm wrong. Yeah. Anyway.
And I could be misremembering, but the point is he's only signed for a certain number of matches. Do you want the belt on a guy that is only going to wrestle 2 or 3 times and then is gone? Unless they have a plan to like have that be a big moment, have that be like Brock's last kind of moment in the sun and then give it back to Roman, I don't see like why they would want Lesnar to win if he's not going to be around for a couple of years.
Yeah. No, I'm in agreement with you. Like, to me, I think it should be like the guy that beats Roman eventually should be your next guy. Like, he should be the next face of the company.
And Brock Lesnar is the new WWE champion.
Shocking. Absolutely nobody was shocked by that. But again, if Brock wins, and I don't see putting him in this spot unless you're gonna have him win. But my thing, look, I think at some point Roman Reigns' title reign has to come to an end. But my thing is the guy that beats him should be the face of the company going forward.
If someone were to end this reign, that's the kind of thing, much like Undertaker losing at WrestleMania, the kind of thing that people could use in storylines for years.
Yeah.
If it's a young guy in his prime, then you've got a star. Brock Lesnar's already a star.
Yeah.
So
my question is, if they do a thing where Brock wins and then, his last match on his contract, they put it back on Roman, who's that guy? Who's the guy to eventually?
Right now, I don't know. I mean, early on in the fall, I thought that maybe we were going to see Roman versus Big E, maybe title for title, because they did a lot of triple threats with Roman and Big E and Bobby Lashley around the country. And I thought that's what they were building to. Obviously not.
Yeah, because how old is Roman now?
Roman, I think, is 35 or 36. Let me check that.
All right, so he's got some years left on him, but
yes,
it's not like you
yeah. Roman Reigns is 36. He'll be 37 in May.
Yeah, it's like, I get it. Bobby Lashley is probably running, I don't know how many.
Well, and that's another thing. Bobby Lashley, an amazing run last year. Excuse me, an amazing run last year.
Yeah.
But he's got to be looking for the door too in his late 40s. So
yeah. So getting the Raw title off of him makes sense. But
it's to somebody who's not that much younger than him.
Right.
So
yeah. It's going to be what, and again, this is the critique of WWE is, what's the long-term plan? Do they have one?
Well, and that has been, you and I talked about this on our very first wrestling podcast 2 years ago when we did WrestleMania. That seemed to be the changing of the guard. Goldberg lost, Brock Lesnar lost, the 2 belts, and I thought they were going to go past the part-timers and only go to people on the regular roster. And here we are 2 years later.
But then they fired half of the roster.
Right. Well, then that's a problem. You've got to have wrestlers who are over. So
Right. Like, over in NXT, they've got, and I hate that they call them this. They got Braun Breaker. Donnie. Call him Steiner, for God's sake. Like, play on the legacy, you morons.
that sounds like a bad comic book character named Braun Breaker, but
yeah, why are we avoiding the legacy?
But that's a good question.
Maybe,
WWE just tweeted out it's a Brock party at Elimination Chamber. Dad joke.
fire the social media person. Vince, come on, do one of your fired things. No, but look, could he be somebody that comes, like, if he's built properly, somebody that comes up and does,
And as predicted, here is the graphic that they just tweeted out for WrestleMania. Champion versus champion.
Yeah,
Brock versus Roman.
This should be a Paul Heyman on a pole match, is what it should be. Because that's what this really is about. Now you've got a visual of Paul Heyman on a pole, don't you?
In a cage. I don't know about Paul Heyman hanging from a pole.
I mean, so I've lost Donnie, folks. He can't compete himself now after this. And that's the other thing. If Brock wins, which I think is going to be the case at WrestleMania, does Paul Heyman defect once again?
That's an interesting question. I don't think so. The other thing that I think is in play here is that Roman Reigns is getting a lot of cheers.
Yeah.
Do they turn Roman babyface eventually? I don't think you can have Paul Heyman with Roman as a babyface. So,
and does Brock go back to heel?
Could be. It could be that that
because look,
they run misdirection again, and Paul Heyman helps Brock beat Roman.
Because I got to be honest with you, this whole hillbilly, nice guy act I'm not used to it.
I will say this: Brock is definitely better on the mic now than he used to be.
Oh,
he's a lot more relaxed, having a lot more fun.
He is, but I'm just not used to him as a babyface. I just can't get you like.
Well, Brock really doesn't change that much. He's always Brock Lesnar. It's just who he's facing. So he's just a little softer as a babyface than he is as a heel. So I watched a match of his recently, though, with Big Show from about 15 years ago. If he had decided to be a professional wrestler only and not worried about MMA or pro football, and again, I mean, the guy's got talent, and I'm not saying that was a mistake to try those things, but he could have been maybe the undisputed biggest draw of all time because he was a big guy with athleticism that we have never seen.
When he came in, he was a big deal.
He could move like liquid lightning. I mean, it was just amazing. He was fast, he was fluid, and amazingly strong.
Yeah. So it's good. Like I said, I'm more interested in, like you said, because Roman is now getting cheered, or at least more positive reaction from the crowd. Do they turn him face?
I think that's got to be in the long-term plans.
And I would still like to see. I know there's always chatter about it, and I know the schedule doesn't align. But man, I'd like to see The Rock versus Roman.
I thought that's what I mean. I heard that rumor. Again, The Rock's 50 years old, hasn't wrestled in a while. Would he have the cardio to do it? That's the question.
Yeah.
Plus, he's got a full slate. I mean, he's arguably the biggest Hollywood star in the world. So
yeah, and he's Black Adam, and I'd rather him be playing in the DC universe than. Isn't it funny that we have Black Adam and Peacemaker? They're both are The Rock and John. Yep. Listen, if those two, I know everybody's like. This is a side note, folks, before we end the show, but everybody's on the comic or a segment of fandom in the comic book world is all. Well, I want to see Henry Cavill Superman fight the Rock's Black Adam. And it's like, wait a minute. You want to see Henry Cavill get his ass whipped again, this time not by Batman,
Right.
but by Black Adam, because I'll tell you what, if Henry Cavill shows up in that movie, he's getting a beatdown courtesy of Black Adam.
At least the first battle.
Yeah, I'd be much more entertained, if I can ever get the words out properly, by Peacemaker.
At least you didn't say liquid lightning. That's what I meant to say. Liquid speed or fast as lightning. I said liquid lightning.
Yeah.
There's no such thing.
Well, there is now, but no, I'd like to. That'll be the Rock's next energy drink, but I find it entertaining, even if they don't fight, but if they have a confrontation.
You need to trademark that as soon as we get off the air here.
Peacemaker versus, or not versus, but interact Peacemaker and Black Adam, and just have an exchange that alludes to, that'd be pretty funny.
Yeah. But
I digress. And think about the booking that McMahon could do promotion wise. I mean, he was all excited about having a fictional egg from a Netflix movie on his programming. Imagine if he had access to Black Adam and Peacemaker.
Yeah.
I don't understand why John Cena did not come out dressed as Peacemaker when he came back. Like, why didn't they take advantage of that? I don't know.
Maybe not having the rights. I mean, who knows?
Vince was like, "Hey, DC, can we?" And they're like, "No." And you think about it, Warner Media owns AEW, right? Because of TBS and all that. So
I don't know.
Yeah, Warner Media's got.
At least he didn't have John Cena come out of an actual egg, because we know he's not adverse to doing stuff
Well, the
like
Undertaker
that.
was worried about that many years ago, before he was the Undertaker. So there's that. But yeah, look, there's still some head scratching booking within the WWE, and I think that will always be the case as long as Vince is still the final say on the matter. And again, I'll give due respect to Vince McMahon when we talk about Hulk Hogan, because he had a big hand in, his budget. So I'll be giving Vince a lot of props when we do that episode.
Oh yeah, he knew how to, and for that matter, Steve Austin.
Yeah. He at one time, Vince was the preeminent booker in sports entertainment.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he is now in his 70s, and I believe has lost touch with what the wrestling audience wants, by and large, in terms of certain aspects. So, but I will give him props when I have to down the road. But I'm still intrigued by WrestleMania, and we will of course cover it. And
right here on the Multiverse Musings vidcast, available on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe and tell a friend. Indeed.
But so there'll be lots of wrestling content coming up soon, and you can chat wrestling with us on social media. So Donnie, where do they track you down?
If you would like to find me, you can do so on Twitter. I am the Emerald Enthusiast. Let's talk wrestling. Let's talk comics. Let's talk collectibles. Let's talk Green Lantern.
Right. And if you want to talk to wrestling.
Talk to wrestling, yes.
Talk about wrestling to me. Geez, today I cannot speak. I think Papa Shango put a spell on me. One of those spells back in the day. But if you want,
you're not gonna sweat oil, are you?
I hope not. If you want to talk to me about wrestling on social media, it's at Adam_LeesFan. The podcast network has its own wrestling, its own Twitter, and today's a show, all right. At MMNPDC, if you want to talk to me there. We also have a Facebook group, which I'm not going to say the link because the link is in the description. Click that, I will add you, and we can get in the conversation there. But until next time, remember that professional wrestling, be it AEW or WWE, is forever. From the first main event to the last. So long, everybody.
So long, everyone.